Hello and welcome. I'm Melissa. It's a little bit sunny today. I hope you don't mind. It's been raining for the past week, so to have this beautiful sun coming in, I love it. I did have to turn me a little bit this way so that it's not super bright. So this is a Monstera Albo potting up video, and I'm going to be answering your guys' questions. I have my computer here. About 2 weeks ago on my main YouTube page, if you click on it and go to, there's like a community tab, I had posted like a Q&A. If you had any questions for me, I could answer them while I'm doing some repotting. Instead of me just like chatting about plants or talking about plants, I could just answer some of the questions that you guys want to know or sent in. So I did do a Q&A, I think 2 times before. One was like a few months ago and one was like a year ago. So that one was a while ago. So I will link those down in the description. If you haven't seen those, I will find them and put them down there. Some of these are, I'm sure, are repeated questions, but I've gotten a lot of new subscribers since then, since I made those. So I probably have at least 70 questions that were sent in, so I'm probably not going to be able to answer them all for this video, but I'll see what I can get through. So I think questions that are non-plant related, I'll answer those maybe like the second half, and then the first half I'll answer plant related questions. But we'll see how long this kind of takes to get through. So these here, let me just show you what we're working with. This is a gorgeous bouquet of Monstera Albo. I mean, look at some of those new leaves. Like, how gorgeous is that? They're to die for. I have been propping them in water for about a couple months at least. I did this when I did my Monstera propagation video, so I will link that down there too, because I go into a lot more details on how I propagate Monstera Albo, and I did my aria in that video as well. In that video, I probably had a total of 30, if not more, cuts that I did for my Monstera plants. I had to start over with them all because of the substrate and the rot that was going on. And out of all the cuttings, I have 4 still up there, and I have 2 in my cabinet that are growing pretty white leaves. So unfortunately I can't like sell those or get rid of those at this time until I decide what they are going to do. A lot of the albos I have gotten rid of. I am doing like another batch of like 11 that I'm getting rid of, but these are the ones that I am keeping that I am going to grow out. I did pot up 2 Monsteras already. I restarted them back, but I'm gonna keep these because a couple of them I'll probably grow to like maturity and have for me. And then the other ones I'm gonna grow, and then if I decide to sell some in the future, I can propagate them and use a couple as like my propagating Monsteras, if that makes sense. The roots are kind of entangled in one another, so I'm gonna have a little time getting all these out of here. I have been using a liquid fertilizer, so I usually change this now about every 2 weeks, I would say, since they've gotten used to water. And I've been adding in the GT foliage focus, like the hydroponic ratio for my water props, and they seem to love it. I mean, obviously they're giving me some new leaves, and I do want to put 1 or 2 of these into pond, and then the other one I'm going to put into soil. I think putting 3 into pond might be a little too much. I have 2 that I started back in soil, and they seem to be doing well. One put out a new leaf already, but I don't know how to do the one in pond. So what I was thinking is I have a container. These are the larger self-watering pots. I've used one of these before for my Alocasia Frydek, and these are, I think they're 7 inches. So I feel like this would be a good pot size to start one in. I can get this out. Okay. Let's back a little bit. So I think I'll do the pond one first, and we'll do the soil one. Yeah, so no particular order. Again, with the questions, I'll just try and save personal questions towards like the bottom half. Which way do these go? Okay. So first question, is my mint a large form or no ID? So I'm not exactly sure what my mint is. I definitely know that now it's a tissue culture because of all the offshoots that it's doing, and it was so tiny when I got it. When I purchased mine, they didn't specify what it was, so I'm assuming it's just a regular small form. And I love tissue culture just because I feel like it gives you access to more plants that are more rare and that are more expensive. And I don't know, I love growing plants from small too, and I feel like they do well when you start them small and they get a chance to grow up in your environment, if that makes sense. But out of all the plants I have, who knows like what was actually started from tissue culture or what was actually started from seed, you know? It's hard to really say. I feel like tissue culture has been around and used for a while. So plants that like cuttings that I bought in from like people that were selling plants when I started my collection, who really knows what is actually from tissue culture nowadays. From what I've read is like anthuriums specifically, they can be like sterile. So if you're looking to cross pollinate anthuriums, if you're crossing and they don't take, it could be because one was like tissue cultured and then it's sterile, so you're never going to be able to pollinate it. I believe so. So I don't know how true that is, but that's what I read before. That's why some people are against tissue culture. But I am just so excited for my little mint. I can't wait for it to grow more. Do I prefer to bottom water or top water plants? I honestly, now I kind of top water plants. Every once in a while I still like will bottom water. It's just, I use like an aeroid mix now. It's soilless. A lot of my plants are still potted into like a soil substrate, but it's very hard to bottom water just because the mix is so aerated. Like for example, my moss pole plants behind me, it's impossible to like really bottom water those because the mix is just so aerated. You could sit that in a bucket of water for overnight even. So some plants I do bottom water. It just depends. Plants that are more compacted, most definitely, because the substrate is very hard, and if you just water over the top, it's not going to fully saturate. So in some cases I do bottom water, and I used to bottom water a lot more, but definitely now I water thoroughly over top, let it drain, and then dump excess out and then put it back. That's like my favorite way to water nowadays. Let me put some pon into here. Oh shoot, I forgot. So what I was actually going to do, so I was thinking if I do this plant into pon, one or two of these cuttings, how am I going to support this plant? And I was thinking in my head, well, maybe I could do some kind of stake situation with the pon. But someone recently asked me in a video on here in a comment, have I ever tried a moss pole without putting anything in it, basically just using it as like a stake or support? And I'm like, I haven't, but I would be tempted to. So I think I might try that. I'm going to use one of Thiccly's GrowPoles. This is their medium 3.0. And I'm going to fill the bottom of it with pon up until like the top of the reservoir here. And then I'm just going to leave it empty. And then I'm just basically going to clip the Monstera on here as it climbs and just use it as support. That way the bottom part is in pon and it kind of stabilizes it. And this is the front open too, so I feel like, well, I'm not filling it with anything, so that doesn't really matter, but I could fill it with moss, but I just feel like the aerial roots grow kind of straight down and out. And since this pole is clear, the aerial roots are gonna take over the inside of this pole. So I actually don't want to fill this with anything and try it out and just use it as support. So that's what I'm gonna do. I think that'll be having like a clear pole without anything in it and just anchoring the Monstera on just to give it a little extra climbing support. And as the plant climbs, I can just add another layer on. So the 3.0, I haven't used one of their poles in a while, opens from the front. So you basically just have to close all the snaps in the front. So while I do that, I'll answer some more questions. How does someone go about getting an import permit? Asking for ... myself. So I actually went onto, there's like a website that you can go and apply for an import. The process itself was pretty easy. I did mine probably within like an hour, and it was completely free to apply. And I actually pulled up, I didn't know what to do or where to go, but I pulled up a website that, or a YouTube video that showed how, like, basically a step-by-step process that showed how to do it. So I just followed their steps. And I did link all that stuff in an import video. So I'll find that import video and link it down there, because in the description I have like the website, where to go. And I think I linked the YouTube video I watched too, and just kind of, I just followed the instructions, and I feel like it was pretty easy to walk through, and I got like the permit. There's nothing that came in the mail or anything, just like an email that says like you have your permit and it's on there, and then I think they give you like your green and yellow shipping labels too. So if the country that you're importing from needs those, you could easily just send it through email and they have it. So yeah, I'll link that down in the description. I forget the actual website and stuff that you need to use to apply, so I can't remember off the top of my head. But I'll include that down there. I actually got a couple questions about silica, and if I could like talk about it more, or they said that I haven't heard me talk about the benefits, and that's because I just haven't used it or gotten into it yet. But I did recently get some, because of some comments that I got in here. A few people asked about silica, and I just needed some time to set aside to actually learn about it and what to get and how to use it. So I don't really know like too much on it yet. I know some people say it helps with variegated plants, and it can make plants just in general stronger and less prone to diseases and that kind of thing. So I did actually look at getting some, and I have some, so I haven't used it or looked into how to use it yet. So once I do use it and get kind of familiar with it, I am going to record that process, and I'll make a separate video on it. So I'll start like a video on it when I first start using it, and start using it maybe on certain plants, to see if I notice any kind of difference with using it. And then if I do, or I feel like it's helping my plants, then I'll definitely share more about it. I have heard that it does help and people like it, so that's kind of why I want to use it and just see how it goes for myself. So I'm going to put, I have just the little flappies pulled down on the grow pole, and the center of the pot is like that. So I'm kind of just going to back this at the very back, which is like right up next to here. And then I'm going to put just a small layer of, like something got me, a small layer of pond down in here, and then I'll put a small amount like in the actual pole down here too. Okay, before I add any more, we're gonna have to take apart our Monsteras. I'm gonna set this over here for a minute. Okay, these are so beautiful. Like, look at these. I gotta do like a slow-mo on the root system. Like, look at that. That is incredible. Like, look at that root system. Hi, Loon. There's no room for you up here. Hi. Oh. Hi, Lulu. Hi, girlfriend. There's no room for you up here. I have my computer here, but here, come over this way. Come over this way, Lulu. Come over this way. You want the sun, I know. As long as you don't get in the way of my video. Those roots are just so cool. I really should have separated these before they got extremely rooted, because now it's like, how am I going to separate this? Oh, my. Someone asked, can I talk a little bit more about pon? What exactly it is. So pon is basically a soilless substrate like leca, like if you were just to use water. If you're just growing in water, that's just called hydroponic. You're not using any kind of additional thing in your water. Pon is like semi-hydroponic. So it's composed of zeolites, lava rock, and pumice, different ratios. And I use the brand from Lechuza. I think Lechuza is supposed to have like the best air to water ratio or something like that, where it provides your plants with like the right amount of oxygen and moisture retention and all that. So it's the only pon that I've used. I really like the Lechuza brand, and I feel like a lot of people use pon or leca. I haven't used leca. I'm not like too big of I think with leca for me is I don't really care for the look of the balls. I much prefer the aesthetics of pon. It's just very fine and I think it looks better. And if you get the Lechuza brand, it comes with 6 months of slow release fertilizer, so you don't have to fertilize right away. But if you just start out using leca, I think probably after a little bit of time, like once your plants start adjusting to the leca, if I'm right, I think any of you leca growers know, like, I don't know if you are supposed to wait like 4 weeks and then start fertilizing, but leca has absolutely no nutrients at all, so you need to add fertilizer so your plants can get those nutrients. Because if you're using soil, a lot of soils, like bag soils, have lots of stuff for nutrients like worm castings and all kinds of stuff that they like mix into the potting medium, and so your plants are getting nutrients right away. So, ooh, I got one loose. Look at that. Hopefully you can see okay. I know it's super bright with the sun. That is a gorgeous. So we got one loose. So I'm really liking it. I have let's see, Anthurium, Alocasia, and a Philodendron so far in pon. And now I'm gonna do a Monstera in pon. I'm wondering if I should, this is like definitely turned weird. I think with how these two are growing, I'm gonna do these in pon and then we'll have to figure out this next. Let me just stick this down in the water. And we're gonna set this guy off to the side. We're only gonna do, I think we're gonna do these two in the pon and have these. Yes, that's gonna be beautiful. What was I saying? Yes, pon. So I love it. I feel like I've gotten a really good response from it with the plants that I've been putting into it. And I just feel like I have been such a soil person for so long that I was scared to branch out and try something different. And I always I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it long term, because I don't know, I just haven't had much experience with it. I put my Friedic into pon in June, so I've been using it a little over 5 months, maybe, just at 5 months, I would say. So I just don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, say in like 2 years. I think Lechuza says their pon is good for like 2 years, and then you may need to like refresh it out. And then the thing with pon too is if you go to reuse it for like a different plant, you can sterilize it and like boil it or whatever to sterilize it, and you can reuse it, which is a good thing. Like soil, I feel like I can't really reuse soil, especially if something happens to the plant. You can't really just like boil soil, you know? All right, so this guy's got a crazy wacky aerial root here. I'm gonna have to try and guide this down in here. Ooh, we got lots of roots. I don't know if 2 of these are gonna fit in here, honestly. Holy moly. I let these get super rooted. I should honestly probably find a bigger container for these. But my plan is I want this part like up against the pole so that I can start anchoring it on. The leaves are going to be a little weird at first because of the way that they were in the actual vessel as I was propagating them, but they'll eventually, I'm going to sit this back in front of my window so the leaves will eventually like turn all one direction. Actually, I want to try and get a majority of this root system over here on this one. And kind of anchor this one here on the side. And then I can stuff the other one right beside it. That's intense. That is intense. I hope the Albos like being in pond. I'm a little nervous to do pond for these, but I'm thinking it'll be good. I'm just trying to get these somewhat centered. I'm just trying to like insert these in the pole a little bit so that they're somewhat supported. So I took the clear and I like put the clear around the front of the vines so that they could be inside of the pole somewhat, but I'm only going to fill this up a little bit with the pond. Okay, as this other one climbs more, I'll be able to attach it in there as it climbs. Okay, whew, that was a lot. Okay, now we just need to fill with pond. But I just have all the roots kind of shoved down in there. I have like 1 root ball on this side of the pot and 1 root ball on this side of the pot. I know it's super sunny. It's not really, it's not really a good angle because it's so sunny. Okay, let's do another question. I feel like that stressed me out. Another like pond question was, when would I transfer my baby anthuriums that I grew from seed into pond if I was going to? And that's a good question. I do think I want to move my babies. So I'm going to keep 3 of them and the rest I'll eventually like, you know, downsize. Oh, excuse me. The anthurium I got from Jonah, I put into pond, and I put it into pond like pretty small. They were both like pretty small seedlings. So my seedlings now, I would feel comfortable like putting them into pond. But I feel like as long as you don't like overwhelm them a ton, you know, not to do like a huge vessel, it'll be fine. And they'll grow into it. But I would definitely do the seedlings that are growing now, like the size. I'll have to like insert a clip of what some of them look like now. I would definitely do those into pond already. When is my greenhouse going in? 50 times 100 maybe. I wish. I think it'd be fun to have a greenhouse out there, honestly. I would be terrified of something like going into the greenhouse, like snakes. We do have like poisonous snakes here. We've seen poisonous snakes in our neighborhood. We have black widows, we have alligators. I would be terrified of something like that actually like getting into the greenhouse, and I don't know what I would do. I am not a snake or a spider person at all. I can tolerate snakes a bit more. Like my husband wouldn't be able to help me though because he's terrified of snakes. So he can do spiders, he just can't do snakes. So I would be screwed. I don't know though. 1 year though, maybe I would consider it 1 year and just see how it goes. Maybe just a little small one. I think it would be nice to actually have plants out there and to not have so many inside, you know, but again, I feel like for me, even the plants I put outside, I'm not as like, I feel like I don't care for them as well as my indoor plants. So I'm like, am I really going to care for these plants in the greenhouse like I would if they were in here? I feel like they would be more prone to like drastic temperature changes maybe, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it yet. Baby steps, maybe 1 year, but I feel like not anytime soon. What fertilizer am I using nowadays? Do I like GT Foliage Focus? So currently I'm using the GT Foliage Focus, and I'm kind of sporadic with how I'm using it. I feel like I've been using it on everything now. I use it for my poles, any plants that I'm like that are in potted. The only thing that I haven't used it for yet is plants in pond, just because they're still like with the 6 months of Lechuza fertilizer. But I am going to start fertilizing my Frydek, my big one, at the beginning of the year, because since I did that one in June, 6 months would be December. Well, I'm going to wait till probably January to start fertilizing them. And then I can look back on my channel to see when I did certain plants in pond, because now I've done upwards to like, I don't know, tons of allocation now, and it's hard to, I can't quite remember like when I did each one per se. So I'll have to look back and see when I did those so that I can do some. I need to add some pot in this clear container. Hi. But I love the GT Foliage Focus. I feel like using a liquid it's been a nice change. I feel like I'm still getting used to it. I'm still doing like, I feel like a gentle dose. I'm not doing the max recommended dose, not even the min recommended dose now. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're all wet. You're, you got the Monstera drippings on you, girlfriend. Oh no, you're wet. Come here. You're all wet, baby girl. Oh no, you all wet. Yeah, you're so cute. Here, let me wipe up my drippings. I didn't know you were sleeping in my drippings. Okay, it's more dry now. It's more dry now. Here. It's a little bit wet, but here. You're too cute. Okay, resume. But yes, I'm loving the GT. I feel like my plants are responding well, at least the poles I've noticed, like I feel like better growth as far as them like growing quickly, and the leaves are still sizing up, even flying off the pole, like my Splendid that I did recently that I chopped. But I feel like once I actually get to the max dose on it, which I don't know if I'll ever get to, because I feel like I don't want my plants to go crazy and grow a ton and then not have any room for them. So I'm gonna keep fertilizing at the gentle dose right now and go from there. I may increase it here. I feel like I'm definitely still like testing it and getting used to it, and I still need like more time with it for sure. And as far as the Osmocote goes, I feel like I may add some Osmocote in my repots just to have a little bit of slow release in there, even though it's only good for like 3 or 4 months. Cause say like maybe I get lazy and I don't want to add liquid in every time I water, maybe I'll just have a little extra Osmocote in there just in case, but that'll probably be rare that I do that. I feel like I would much rather just keep using the liquid for now. I was so lazy with slow release this year. I haven't added any in my plants unless it was repotting since February. So it's been like 10 months, none of my plants have had extra Osmocote. I just got so lazy with it. So I definitely feel like the liquid will be a nice change. And then it was like getting hard for me to remember like which ones I added slow release in. It was kind of like back when I was using systemic. I didn't really know, or I couldn't remember which plants I added it in, and especially if it was like a plant that I repotted, it just got to be really, really confusing. This looks so stinking good right now. I am obsessed, and I think having a clear pole just for anchor support will be so fun. I wish I could have gotten this other vine over a little bit, but it'll be okay. As it grows more, I can attach it on. Just I'm squishing the aerial root a bit, which I got one of them on the inside of the pole, so that's like supported, but the other one's a little squished. But yeah, GT, I'm really looking forward to keep using it. I'm probably halfway through my bottle already, and I got that in at the end of September. So I will definitely be purchasing the larger one when I go to purchase a new bottle. I think there's like a bigger bottle of it. And then I might get the root zone too. I think that's what some of you guys were telling me to get, that I should get that too. Okay, I'm gonna shimmy this and shake it so that all the pond kind of settles in around the roots, because I had a lot of roots to add in here. So it's gonna get loud for a minute. She's looking at me like, what the heck, mommy? See, and now I have a lot more pond to add in this front section. Let's see. Dora asked, I hear everyone say to water most plants when the top 2-3 inches of soil are dry. I am an underwaterer, so when I put my finger beyond the 2-3 inch mark and it's still a little moist, I don't water it. Should I just water the plant anyway? I would say most likely no. If you can stick your finger into the pot and you can feel moisture, I wouldn't water it. It's best to err on the side of underwatering. Just speaking from my experience, when I first got into plants, I used to be huge, like over waterer, and I used to use Plant Tub back in the day, and I had all my plants in there and I kept track of them, and it helped me kind of like manage my watering schedule a little bit, because I was someone who collected a ton of plants all at once. So it was a lot to manage and to figure out like watering needs and all that. I like to care for my plants. I'm not really like much of an overwater nowadays. Sometimes I can be more of an underwater just because my environment is so warm. It's hard to keep up sometimes. But plants that like moisture, that don't like to dry out all the way, like your prayer plants and like alocasia don't like to dry out all the way, ferns, stuff like that, that can handle more moisture. But if you're sticking your finger in your soil and you're feeling moisture, I would wait. And I get in the habit too of lifting my pots up, and if they feel light, and like looking at the plant leaves, because usually your plant leaves will tell you a lot about your plant if it's thirsty or not. They'll give like cues, they'll start to curl, they'll droop more. That just definitely means there's not a lot of moisture left in the mix, so you'll definitely want to water soon. And I try not to let them get to that point, but it happens. And then depending on your mix that you use, some mixes may look like they're dry and they're not. They're moist like down in the center. Chunky mixes are really hard to do the finger test with, so I feel like just getting to know your substrate and getting to know your plants, it gets better over time. But I would definitely not follow like the 2-3 inch rule. I usually say mostly dry when someone asks me, because that way it's not like drying out all the way, but it's still like dry most of the way down. So I would definitely say wait a bit more, and then you can add more like water once it has dried somewhat. I am very happy with this. Let me look at the front of it. Wow. I think this is the one that I accidentally ripped. Ugh. I think it's good though. That is gorgeous. I think I love having this clear pole in here too. Not adding anything in it and then just like anchoring the plant to it as it climbs. And it makes it look very attractive. I don't know about you, but this is freaking gorgeous. Like, look. That is gorgeous. So this one unfortunately didn't make it to my pole. This one here, it's like not in the pole. So as it grows more, I'm just gonna anchor it there so that it can kind of still be supported, but it's okay for now. I definitely squished the aerial root on that a bit. And then I have this one here inside the pole, but it's only the portion with the aerial root is inside, and as it climbs, it'll be on the outside, but I can always anchor these flaps around the vine as it climbs to just like help support it to the pole. It looks so good. I need to get some water to water this in now before I forget. I forgot to water my Anthurium forgetii. I had done like a late night repotting and I had set it down and was like cleaning up. I forgot to water it in the video and I didn't notice it till like the very next day. And good thing I was like watering my plants the very next day, because if I didn't do that, that thing would have sat dry. It would have completely like dried up and all those roots would have like dry rotted. So I'm glad that I checked. So yeah, I'm gonna get my water and water this guy. So stinking good in pond. I'm excited. I'm excited for this. I just have to make room up there now because it's a little crowded. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit of a break. I'm gonna go grab my water, water this real quick, and then I do think I have to make more soil up. So I'm gonna do that, and we'll start with more plant questions for our Monstera, and then we'll move into some more like non-planty questions. Hi, cutie. Cutie's still here. I was trying to remember where I left off. Pages of Makeup asked, what is my top wish list plant right now, excluding any Monstera? Well, I just filmed and posted my wish list for 2024, so I'll link that if you haven't seen it yet. I think it was a video right before this one or 2 videos before this one. So I had some Hoya alocasia and 1 philodendron in there, but not any Monstera. How did I get my Frydek to size up? I think honestly it was a pretty mature stump already, since I grew it for like a 1.5 years or so before it decided to get that fungal issue and go like dormant and stuff. So I feel like it had a head start, and then it just being in pond has excelled and like expedited growth. It now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's working on its 9th leaf right now, which is crazy. I accidentally bent a stem because I have it shoved in this corner up against my closet, and there's no room for it. And when I open the door in and out, I accidentally bent it, and it made me so sad. So I have it taped right now. But yeah, just the pond being in semi-hydro, I think, and it's starting to get all these corms up top too, so it just loves it. I don't know. I've never had any kind of experience like this with plant growth so quickly, and I think it just being in pond, it just really loves the environment. So I'm using a 6-inch pot with this root ball here. I just put a little bit of soil in here. And the way that this is kind of bent, this leaf here is, honestly, I could probably cut that off. Yeah, that's like way on the back. Maybe I'll cut that off and do this as like another propagation. So let me show you what I mean. So this is climbing up this way, straight up, and then this is curved. The stem is curved right here. Do you see? So if I plant this in the soil like this, there's not really a point in keeping this node. So I'm gonna propagate this, and it's already rooted. It just doesn't have a growth point yet. So on the vine here, there's a little auxiliary bud where the growth point is right there. So I'm gonna cut above that, just like right here on the vine. We're just gonna snip. 1, 2, 3. So that's our little cutting here, and it has its auxiliary bud. So I can definitely pot this up as like a separate plant because that is a beautiful leaf. Just stick that there for a minute. And that's a little bit wet too, but I might go ahead and just pot it up. I think it'll be okay. Because I didn't really need that leaf. That's a beautiful leaf too, that one. This is a gorgeous plant. Has gorgeous variegation. So what I'm gonna do is just plant it like that, straight down. And then we'll just fill up around. And I'll just kind of shimmy this moss pole in at the very end. Let's do another question. Brooklyn asked, what is one major thing that I learned the hard way with plants or plant care? I would say, I was trying to think how to answer this. I would say probably just take your time and really just research and just get that experience. I feel like when I first got into plants, I was listening to what others had to say a lot. I just feel like just because one person says something, it doesn't mean you have to follow that. And there's multiple ways to do something. So I feel like just kind of do plant care and experiment and do things that you like. And you don't always have to do something that someone says, I guess, if that makes sense. And you'll find like your way that works for you and what you end up liking and all of that. I feel like I kind of got into plants at a time that a lot of other people got into plants. So it was and there wasn't a lot, I feel like, of YouTubers back in the day too. I feel like there's not as many videos and stuff out then as there are now, I guess, if that makes sense. So now I feel like there's definitely a lot of information out there and a lot more people like into plants. So it can be very confusing. I feel like if you're new to the hobby on like what to actually do and all of that. So just take your time and just get plants that you like. And even if you get plants that you don't end up liking, it's okay to like downsize and get rid of plants. And like that's the fun thing of the hobby is there's just so many different things to do and get into and everything. So yeah, I just wish that I guess I had wished I had known like it's okay to not know everything and it's okay to take time to figure things out and definitely just like research more and to like hold off on watering too, because in the initial stages I was a big overwaterer and I rotted a lot of plants out. It was a good experience. It was good learning. But yeah, it's okay to not know everything and it's okay to take your time with things and just practice. I learned best just through my own practice and work and seeing what works for me. But yeah, I think that's what I would say. It seems my Alocasia caprea is growing too fast. The leaves aren't developing properly and appear torn. Have you encountered a similar situation? Not with my caprea, but I have experienced it with a couple philodendron before, where it seems like a chunk is missing out of the leaf where it's like torn or something. And I feel like maybe it was just the way that it was unfurling and its caterpillar. Maybe a part of the leaf just got stuck or something. And it could be like a watering consistency, like if it went a little too dry, or like a humidity issue too. It's hard to really say. I feel like sometimes that just happens and it's normal for that to happen. But I would say maybe just watch, make sure it's not going like too dry in between waterings. Alocasias really don't like to dry out all the way. And that's why I think semi-hydro is really good for them now, because it's easier to maintain them, I feel like, versus in soil where depending on the substrate, sometimes it's really hard to tell like if it's dry and if you're like keeping up with that. And yeah, it's nice because pond, you just, I don't know, you just keep the reservoir filled up and it self-waters itself pretty much, and it's just so much easier, and they really love that consistency. Are any plants more suited to stratum over pond? I'm just using stratum as a temporary substrate to propagate in. It's not really meant for long-term growing, because over time it gets kind of hard, and when you keep watering it as it dries, it breaks down and kind of turns into like a sludge in a way. So I wouldn't recommend growing in it. You can definitely keep plants in it for a while and have them grow in there for a while because it has nutrients and everything, but I would eventually get them out and pot it into like an actual substrate that you can keep the plant in long term. But I've had like great success propagating many plants in it. The first plant I purchased, I honestly don't remember. I had a snake plant, which is my oldest plant that I can remember, and like in old photos when we had our dog, I could see the snake plant in there, and so I consider that my oldest plant. But the very first plant I purchased when I got into plants had to have been a plant from Lowe's. I think that and a golden pothos, because there was a Lowe's like 2 miles from our house and I was there all the time getting plants. And then when I got into like local groups and all that, I was like buying plants online and having like getting cuttings left and right. A lot of my collection I grew from cuttings or small plants. So yeah, be careful if you join a plant group. It is very dangerous. You'll be tempted to get plants a lot. What is my most favorite common plant? One that you could find anywhere but still wins your heart. I would definitely give this to my Marble Queen moss pole. It's over that way because it's so common and she's so beautiful and I love her. You can go get a Marble Queen today. So definitely my Marble Queen. She just is a tried and true favorite. What is my favorite dream plant of all time? Definitely Monstera. I mean, I love Monstera Albo, of course. I love all of my Monsteras, like my Aria, Albo, my little mint. So those three are like my top favorite plant. I feel like if I just had my little collection of variegated Monsteras, I would be really happy. And then I would probably say my variegated Frydek or my regular Frydek, because I love Alocasia Frydek. It's my favorite Alocasia. And my Marble Queen. I don't know. I feel like I couldn't live without those plants. They're just my favorite plants. Okay, I'm gonna try and scoot up a little bit more out of the sun a little bit. I didn't realize how many questions I actually had. I'm gonna do a few more questions related to plants while I add in this little pole to the back, and then I think I'm gonna pot up this cutting too. And I might go ahead and like peek at the Monstera Albos that I have in water that are growing all white, because I really need to get them out of water. Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with those. And then I'll start to answer some more personal questions. How are my plantlets doing? Can't wait to see them. I'm working on a video for that, so they're doing well. They're in my cabinet, and yeah, I'm excited for them though. I love little baby plants. Rebecca wants to know, does your husband ever get upset with how much time, effort, and money you put into plants as a hobby? Mine is getting a bit upset, but you are going to be making good money once you start selling. Besides your YouTube job, I keep telling him once I have enough props, I can make money too. Aw. It's different now. Like when I was into plants initially, it was more of like a hobby, and it was just like, I don't know, my husband and I have like our own money, but we also have like joint money that we pay bills and everything with. This is gonna stick up way too much. This looks stupid. Okay, I'm not gonna add this in here just yet. I'll wait for it to grow a bit more and then I'll add that in because yeah, that's not gonna look right. Hold off on that. I'll answer this question and then, yeah, we'll get to answering some personal questions. I would say since like my hobby now, it's more of a job. It's different because I'm making money now from working YouTube and selling plants. You can make money, but again, I feel like long term, I don't know like what my goal is because I know like houseplants aren't really. I feel like I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I feel like plants aren't really a thing much anymore. I feel like maybe it's just this time of year and it being the holiday, but I feel like people just aren't watching as much, or with like TikTok and it being like a short form platform now, I feel like the attention span on some people, they don't like to watch longer videos in a sense. So it's hard. I feel like I'm in a hard place because although I do enjoy making videos and filming, I'm thinking like years from now, am I still going to be doing this? Are people even going to be watching years from now? It's like I feel like there's only so many videos you can do and talk about with plants, you know? I don't know. I'm kind of like in a little bit of in my head in a sense with this because it's kind of scary because I don't have anything else lined up. Yes, I have my nursing degree and I can go back into nursing. I did have some nursing questions that I'll get to, but I don't think I can go back to doing that again. I mean, I can if I had to, if it came down to it, but this has been just such a blessing. I feel like being able to work with houseplants as a job and how much I love plants and how much they helped me at a time I really needed that. That's why I'm kind of hoping selling some plants and having a little online shop. I can do that to kind of supplement YouTube income because YouTube income isn't a lot unless you're getting a ton of views, then you can make and profit more. I feel like the average views I get every month, it's getting me by right now, but that's like it. And I haven't done any sponsors on my channel and it's been 2 years just because I'm so particular. And I could definitely have done sponsors and gotten like money on the side because I feel like working with brands and getting sponsors is like the bulk of the income and why people are able to do this full time. I have really struggled with that aspect of it, and I don't know next year like if I'm going to end up taking brand sponsors because just doing like these videos and stuff, it's just like it's not that profitable. And again, like I'm getting by, but it's tough. I'm not sure like where the shop is going to go, if it's even going to make much nowadays, because again, I feel like plant prices have come down significantly unless you're selling a lot or unless you're selling just like rare plants, because you also have to account for like shipping supplies and shipping itself, and there's so much extra cost that goes into it that I'm realizing, and me like having to start a website that I'm working on, there's just so much added cost that goes into all that. And so I guess it's really hard to like be profitable with it unless you're really successful in a sense. So I don't know. I wouldn't look at doing YouTube and selling plants as a means to like be your only income. I see it as like something you can do on the side as like extra, like an extra gig, so to say, to earn some extra income. But to do it full time is really tough, especially starting now when I feel like people aren't into plants as much as they were. It's really tough because if I'm not doing videos, I'm not making anything from YouTube AdSense. So, and even then, like even if I make videos, YouTube pays me based off of my like RPM, which is my like, there's all kinds of stuff that goes into that, like how long are people watching my videos, my like impression rate, you know, are people tuning into the whole time? Are they clicking off? Then you're left with the YouTube algorithm trying to be seen, YouTube pushing your videos out so more people will watch your videos. And like shorts, I feel like shorts kind of ruined YouTube in a way because I feel like YouTube favors shorts over long form content nowadays. But unless you like are consistently putting out content, it's hard to really like be pushed out by the algorithm. I feel like the only people that are really watching you are your long-term followers in a way. But to get to your question, does my husband ever get upset with how much time and effort I put into my plants? Back when I was working as a nurse, like I would work extra, so extra money that I had, I wouldn't buy things, like plants is what I spent my money on. Instead of buying like a new handbag or a new this, I would buy plants, and that made me happy. So I don't think like he got mad at that aspect of it. And plus, like he didn't really know how much I was spending on plants either, because plants were really expensive during the pandemic. It was tough. It was really tough. So yeah, he didn't really know how much actually, like we put money into a joint account that paid our bills, and then whatever we had extra, like I could save it and spend money on things. And I felt like I was investing in them too, in a way. So I don't know, my husband's definitely okay like with it now, just because it is work and money that I invest into this is a job now. It's just like, it's hard to do this full time without additional income, because yeah, it's not like YouTube AdSense isn't as much as you would think. And like I said, like I'm getting by, but I definitely need to be making more. So that's kind of why I want to do the shop on the side instead of working with brands, because I'm just not really getting along with brands per se. I just refuse to, I feel like I just refuse to do an ad for like $100, $200, because to me that's just not worth my time. You know, to each their own. Like $100 is a lot. Obviously it is. When you think about the amount of time that goes into actually like filming, how long it actually takes to edit and produce an entire video and to upload it, and then like not only that, but you do have to like say good things about the product, and you do want to work with companies that you want to work with and that are good companies. I feel like if I was in a different niche, like beauty or makeup or something like that, it would be different and way more profitable. But in the plant community, there's only so many companies to work with. And when they're not willing to pay you what you deserve, it's really hard to make money from that. So, yeah. It's definitely a challenging part of this job. I never imagined that I wouldn't be working with brands at this stage. I definitely feel like that's something I would be doing. And I could have, like, it's my own, I feel like that's my own issue. It's just, I feel like my time is worth more than $100. So yeah, anyway, this is this little Monstera. It's all done. So I'll add like another stake or something in here when it grows a bit more. So this is now technically my 4th Albo that's potted up. I'm not gonna keep this one, obviously, because I don't need all these Albos, but this is a beautiful rooted cutting. It's just the auxiliary bud hasn't activated. I might keep this one for maybe like a future giveaway or something when it actually starts to activate. But I'm gonna get this kind of cleaned up. Let me go through my Albos that I have left. I'm gonna put them all on the table and show you all the ones that are growing white. And we're gonna kind of fix them up a bit. I may end up potting some of them up and just seeing what they do, but I wanna consolidate the 6 vessels that I have into like maybe 2 vessels and kind of go from there. And then I'll do that and answer some personal questions. I feel like this is getting a little bit long. So if you answered a planty question and I didn't get to yours, I'm sorry. There was definitely more plant questions. But yeah, we're gonna move on to more personal questions here. Okay, let me show you what is going on here. So the Albos that are left are producing white growth. I have hopes that a few of these will be okay. And I was actually going to sell a couple of these until they started growing white. And then a lot of the white is starting to brown on these. I'm just really sad that all these decided to grow white. Ugh. And it's just like, I don't know what to do. So I have 2 in stratum. This one is growing all white. and this one is growing all white. So yeah, I can't sell white monsteras. And I was gonna get rid of this cutting. It just started browning. This one is very white. And then the first leaf was a half moon. I'm like, oh yes, it has good color. And then the newest leaf coming in is, you guessed it, all white. So that's still in water. This one I was gonna sell in my last sale. The original leaf, half of it browned because it was white. The first leaf was beautiful, perfect half moon. Next leaf, completely all white. And I can't, like again, I can't sell it all white. Half moons are very risky because you don't know what you're gonna get. You don't know if it's gonna continue all green or all white or what. Now, who's to say like the leaf after this could very well be variegated and beautiful, because I've had that happen multiple times on my monsteras. Like this one, the first leaf was pretty much all white, but look at the leaf after. It put out a very beautiful variegated leaf. So I feel like this was just random. I'm actually gonna cut this one off, I think, and then like that's a very beautiful leaf here. And I could definitely like sell this one. Now that I have this like beautiful leaf, I don't think it's gonna grow white. Yeah, I don't know what to do with this one. This one was from my first round that I did, and it is extremely, extremely, extremely rooted. So I need to get this one out of here. So there's that one. Here is, did I show this one already? Yes, I did. And this is the other one that is growing in water. The original leaf, the white is browning, of course. The first leaf was, again, a half moon, and then the two after that have been mostly all white. So we have a lot of white albos. I don't know what to do with these. And then we have our original one here that we just cut. Now this one isn't going to grow all white. This is definitely one that we could sell or do a giveaway with in our future. But I think I'd rather probably just keep that in water in a separate vessel so that whenever that auxiliary bud pushes out, I can probably sell it or get rid of it at that point. I really don't know what to do. See, this is stressing me out. I'm very stressed by all the white leaves. Very stressed. I'm gonna get rid of this all white leaf. It's already browning. We're just gonna cut it off. Off it goes. I need to find a deep pot and then pot this one up. And then we'll let this one grow a little bit, and then we'll probably look at getting rid of this one in our future. But yeah, this one is long overdue for a pot up. Let me see if I have a deeper pot. I was gonna use a 5-inch, but this is going to outgrow this very quickly. I don't wanna pot up this large, not with this root ball. Okay. I'm just gonna use a 5-inch. It definitely is gonna be a bit squished in here, but we'll start with this one. So let me open our questions back up. I had a couple of people ask about the shop, and yes, I don't think I'm gonna have it like ready until the spring now. I honestly just haven't had much time to work on it at all. I feel like with YouTube and plant care itself is taking up majority of my time, because I feel like the weekends I'm doing house chores and then I'm doing plant care, and then throughout the week I am filming and editing. So instead of like working on the website, I'm like spending all my time editing. So, but I'm definitely gonna have an online shop. I just really need to like focus more time on it. So I'm giving myself the winter time here while like plant care is slowing down. Not on my moss poles, of course. I have a lot of moss pole work, maintenance to do, but I'm going to give myself time over this winter to get it ready to go and all that. And then I'm doing some story sales on Instagram too to help like manage my collection right now and getting rid of props to help clear up some space in my plants because they're getting to be at a point where it's overwhelming me and I need to let some of them go. Especially all these Monsteras, because it was a lot. It was a lot of props to like have room for and to grow. But yeah, so I'm thinking having it open. I'm aiming for like March 1st, so it'll give me like a few months. And if I'm finding I'm not having much time to work on it after the holiday season, then I might just look at seeing if I can get someone to do it for me, or at least set it up, and then all I'll have to do is just manage it myself and add plants, which I can do. I just feel like I've done a lot so far, but there's still a lot that I have to do. So it will happen though. My goal is now like March 1st, I think. I had some questions about Luna and kind of like what happened to her and how she's doing now. She's doing a lot better. I would consider her like back to normal. From what so she got sick in February. She just randomly started limping. She had lameness, and I noticed it one morning when I got up. I'm like, oh no, did she hurt herself? Because she was limping on her back, one of her back legs. So I took her into the emergency vet, and by the time like she got there, she wasn't limping anymore. They did initially they didn't do like any blood work or anything because she was fine. Because they like did a full exam and everything on her, and the doctor didn't seem like anything was odd. They did find that she had a luxating patella on her back legs, which is like her kneecaps popping in and out of place, which she still currently has, and that could get worse in her future. She has it on both of her hind legs. It's not like severe right now, but it's like something that could potentially get worse. And then when we brought her back, so after I brought her home a few hours later, she started having the lameness again, but it was the opposite leg, which was very strange. So that night, or the very next morning, actually, I had taken her back in, and that's when they did like blood work. They did some scans, and everything came back like normal. And I don't know what happened, like over the course, I would say, of the next 2 weeks, she got really sick. Like we had her vet that she sees normally come. He was like a mobile vet and came to see her. She had like an antibiotic, steroid. She had another injection, and they were thinking it's something viral that caused all this. We don't really know for sure. She wasn't bitten by anything. She didn't have a lapse in her medication for fleas or heartworm or ticks or anything. It was just very odd. They didn't see where she was bitten by anything. We don't really know exactly what happened. It was very strange. And it took her a while to get back to herself. The lameness happened probably for like the next month or so. And she ended up like slowly getting better. So I don't know if it was something like even neurological. We don't really know what happened. But yeah, she's better now. She's like running again. She seems back to herself. Again, she still has the lameness, or not the lameness, the kneecaps that pop in and out of place. So that's always like in the back of my mind. Like I'm always careful picking her up and stuff, and I don't want her to like hurt in any way or anything. So, but she's running and being very active. So that tells me like she's like doing okay. It's just very weird. The whole experience was very weird. I don't want to ever experience that again because she just did not look happy. She did not look good at all at one time. I was really worried about her. Someone wanted to know how old are my cats. So the siblings Star and Chai, they are 5. They turned 5 in August. And then Luna is going to be 4 in January. She's a year behind. So they're still pretty young cats. Okay, it took a while to pot this one up. So there's that one. So again, it had the white leaf, but I'm assuming it's going to not grow white anymore. And I'm probably not going to keep this one, but I just potted it up to get it out of that water. But I need to water this one like really, really good. I'm just gonna use this water that the plant was in because it already has fertilizer in it. I'm just gonna use this. Give it a good soak through. This is the one that had a ton of water roots. Yeah, it took this whole thing. All right. Do I have another job outside of YouTube? And as of right now, I consider YouTube my full-time job. I don't get paid anything from Instagram. Instagram, I'm not really like loving at the moment. Instagram's changed so much. It's mostly just like sales now. Everyone's trying to sell you any and everything. They're trying to promote their business. They're trying to just, in the plant community, I feel like promote like other small businesses for commission. It's just like a big cycle, and yeah, I don't get paid anything from Instagram, but I'm still a nurse. I still have an active license. It's just I'm not like currently working as a nurse, and I don't think I will go back to nursing unless I absolutely had to. I just feel like, I don't know, I did have some questions about nursing, so I guess I could talk about nursing here. Let me find them. They're in nursing school and wondered if I think I'll ever go back to working. Did I enjoy it? Thank you for creating such relaxing, informative videos. Thank you so much. I mean, if you're in nursing school, I feel like nursing school doesn't really, honestly, it doesn't really prepare you for the real world of nursing, if I'm being honest. I went to nursing school a long time ago. I graduated in 2011, so that's like a while ago. Nursing has changed, I feel like, so much since then. I think I'm gonna go ahead and pop this one up too. The one that I cut with that hasn't popped the auxiliary bud yet, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this one. And so when I like started my nursing career, I feel like times were different. There was a lot of senior nurses that were working. This was before COVID happened, and I feel like nursing now has changed in the sense that there's a lot of turnover. It's a stressful job, and I know how that is. Nursing is probably one of the hardest jobs, just healthcare in general. I worked as a nursing assistant my last year of nursing school, and that kind of prepared me a little bit. But until you start working as a nurse and going through every day and what it's actually like, it's a lot different. You can have a lot of education, background, and book smart, but a lot of those skills you learn on the job, like time management and how to balance all of that, is a big thing. And you know, you do spend a lot of your time like passing medications. I worked on a busy telemetry floor. It kind of turned into med-surg tele at the end of my nursing. And we had a lot of sick patients on my floor. It was tough. When you are trying to, the max our floor was supposed to take was like 4 patients to 1 nurse, just because of the patients. Now, I did really enjoy nursing at one point, and I enjoyed taking care of people, but it wasn't until like you started becoming short-staffed where you didn't have like any help at all. And everyone else was so busy in their own assignment that no one could even really help each other out. And that just, it made for a really miserable shift when you were so busy and everyone else is busy. And you're just being pulled in a million different directions, because you should be like, anyone who works a job, you should be allowed to take a break and eat. You should be allowed to even go to the restroom, but I felt like a lot of the times I couldn't even do that because I was just so busy. A lot of our patients, you know, were on telemetry and were on like some medications. They were really sick. So yeah, it was tough because I felt like I couldn't even go to the restroom sometimes without like being scared a telemetry monitor was going to go off and my patient went into like a dangerous heart rhythm. So I was always stressed. The pre-shift anxiety is so real, and the anxiety I had before I even started work. I went to 3 weeks of nights. I went to night shift to help with the anxiety I felt on day shift, and it did help. It took about, I would say, 6 months for my body to get adjusted to working nights because I had a lot of nausea at the beginning, and just learning to stay up all night, it was hard. But then I got accustomed to working nights, and then I did only 1 week a day shift because I still like enjoyed working day shift. It just, day shift is a different world than night shift. I feel like there's positive and negatives to both, but it was better to me in a sense where I feel like I could do more night shifts, and I felt like I had a little bit more time to breathe on night shift. Day shift, sometimes it's just chaotic. It really is, and our floor was super busy. But what kind of did it for me is when the pandemic hit and I like showed up to work not knowing where I was going to work. They would float us constantly. Our floor technically didn't turn into a COVID floor, but we would have the precautions if a patient was suspected of COVID that we still had to take. And plus we had other patients that we were caring for. And like the anxiety I felt showing up to work, not knowing where I was going to be floated for the day, I could have been floated like to places I have never been before and people that you've never worked with before. And not only that, but I didn't feel safe. Every day I felt like I was putting my license on the line. And I mean, I was even floated to work in the ICU, which I'm not an ICU nurse, and that was just so unsafe. And they said it was okay if I took floor-like patients, but anyone in the ICU, like, you should not be caring for. Like, if you're not an ICU trained nurse, like, it was just, I feel like it was wrong on so many levels. And I just felt like the hospitals they just don't care about you. I feel like they only care about patient satisfaction surveys, and you're just a number, you're replaceable, and that's just the bottom line. And I just didn't feel like waking up every day to that constant stress and anxiety and worry. And I just feel like I would much rather work a part-time job at Target or somewhere than have to deal with like the stress that I was dealing with and the anxiety that I felt showing up to work every day. Taking care of patients was the easy part of the job, honestly. Like, I loved helping people and caring for people. It's just when you're being pulled in a million other directions and you don't have help, and like you're late on passing meds, or if you had a patient that coded and like obviously like that came to be first priority, and it just makes for like, you just are really busy and you can't give like the care that you want to give per se because you're just so busy. You just don't have the time, and it's hard. It's really, really challenging. So I just felt like for my own mental health, I had to get out of that environment. And honestly, I didn't care what I did or how much money I made. I just had to get out. I'm not saying nursing in general is like that. There's so many avenues and things that you can take with an RN license. You can go back to school, you can become a nurse practitioner, you can go into aesthetics, you can work outpatient, there's so many different areas that you can go into, but bedside hospital nursing is tough. Props to all the nurses who have spent their entire career at the bedside. You guys are truly like unbelievable. I don't want to like talk people out of like their career choice, but really just consider and think about the type of nurse that you want to be and what you want to go into. It's good to get experience working at a hospital because you really do need that experience. It just helps build you. It just helps with your confidence. It helps with your assertiveness and to find out really what you want to do and what kind of nursing that you want to do. If you're already like second guessing it and you're in the program already, and I mean, if you want to go for it, definitely like continue at it, but just know that it's tough out there nowadays, like at the hospital. Nursing isn't what it is nowadays. Knowing what I know now, I definitely would have changed specialties. I would have not gone on with my nursing program. I know that that's really sad, but And maybe that's just all I know. Bedside is all I know. I didn't work anywhere else, so I don't really have any like experience on that besides like other people telling me, well, you just need to find something else or go into something else and it will help. So I would say just kind of like do some self-reflection. If you feel like you can handle working as a nurse and bedside and going off to do, if you have like a goal and what you want to do, then definitely go for it. Just because my experience is this doesn't mean that it's everyone's experience, and everyone will go through and learn things on their own. I mean, I just feel like for me and my own like sanity and peace of mind, it just wasn't worth it for me to go through with that anymore. So yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I did have another nursing question. Hi Melissa, how did you study while in nursing school, and did you ever feel like you weren't going to make it? I'm in nursing. 2 of 4 are in program and need a little motivation because it's getting harder and I'm getting a little discouraged. And I'm so sorry. I feel like everyone goes through that and feels that way. I definitely felt like I wasn't going to make it. I actually almost failed. Believe it or not, yeah, it was challenging. I had some challenging clinicals. I still remember like a clinical instructor did not like me. She made that semester very difficult for me, not gonna lie. And tests were hard. I had to work throughout my entire nursing career or program. I couldn't not work. I worked almost 40 hours a week. I worked retail job. I worked at like a pharmacy for a few months. Did not like that. And then I went to work as an NA the last year of nursing school. I also got married during nursing school. So there was that too. There was like a lot of other stuff that I wanted to do besides school, and it was hard to focus on school. It really was. Nursing, like joining nursing groups can help. I never was a part of any, but you guys can kind of like learn from each other and learn off of each other and help motivate each other to keep going. Study and learn as much as you can. It's like repetitive information over and over again. For me, like in between working, I would study when I could, but I also had like other things outside of nursing. So I did the best I could. I got by. I graduated. I didn't have the best GPA, but that's okay. Out in the real nursing world is so different, and you know, you need so many other skills other than like book knowledge. And to be quite honest, once you go into a specialty, all the other stuff in nursing, I tend to, if I'm not using it every day, I tend to forget. Like a lot of that stuff I can't even retain anymore. There's just so many different areas of what you have to learn about, and it's a lot. It's a lot. As difficult as nursing is, you can get through it and do it. It's very challenging, and I feel like everyone has their struggles. But definitely like give yourself those much needed breaks, because it's going to help you like regain focus and kind of get back there. I know it's like it's a lot to power through. It's a lot to know and a lot to learn and study, but you can definitely do it. It is challenging, but if you really put your mind to it and just kind of stay focused on the end goal, definitely have bumps along the way, but that is okay. So I struggled a lot, but I got through it, and I'm happy and proud that I did go through that. I actually had to take the NCLEX twice. The first time I took it, it went through every single question. I had the max questions, and I failed it. I was super, super anxious, and then I felt so stupid after that. I felt like after like the rough nursing school and going through every single question on the NCLEX, I felt like a failure. I felt like this just isn't for me. I'm just not smart enough. After that first fail, I took like a few months. I really studied and just did the best I could. I had a lot of anxiety still going in the second time. And then the test ended on 76 questions, and then I passed. So I still remember that day and that feeling. I felt like I was never going to get there, but I finally did, and you can definitely do it. So yeah, just keep at it and keep thinking positive and just study when you can, but definitely like give yourself some breaks. Another question is kind of ties into this is they were new to my channel and I love it and thank you. Plant journey, how did it start? It's kind of like tying into the whole nursing thing. I got into plants like pre-pandemic and they just kind of helped relieve my stress that I was feeling during that time. And they just really, like, it was such a fun hobby for me to do. Like on my days off from work, I would like focus on plant care and it just gave me something to do because my husband was busy with work and we would like go and do things together, but then like I just wanted my own little hobby to do to kind of help take my mind off things because I felt like when I was doing plant care, I wasn't thinking about nursing, and that's what I needed because I would take nursing home with me and that was not good. I would have like a stressful day. It would like tear at me all day, all night, the next day after that. So having plants to focus on just kind of took my mind off that, and then I could like learn about plants and watch videos about plants, and it really helped during that difficult time. So I am forever grateful for finding plants. So we have this one that we potted up, the singular one. We have this one here that we potted up. So now I need to figure out what to do with these. I just don't know what to do with these. I don't want to leave these in water. So this one's in moss. I think I'm going to leave this in moss and just see what the next leaf does. If the next leaf is green, I might consider like getting rid of this, but since this is already in moss, I'm just going to leave this one. So we have it 2 in stratum and 2 in water that we need to figure out what to do with. I feel like my mouth is getting very dry. Oh, I hate that this one is browning now. I'm going to cut this leaf since this leaf here is all white on this one. It's already browning. I'm going to cut this leaf off. Should I do all 4 of these in pon? In like my other big container in pon? And just see what happens? I think I might do that. I think I'm going to put these 4 white ones into pon because I can reuse the pon. I think just having all these little cups around is driving me crazy. Whoa. So yeah, we'll plant these other 4 into pon. Just pot them in here and see what happens with all these white leaves. Because if they keep growing white, then I can just chuck them and sterilize the pon and we won't have to worry about them anymore. So that's what I'm gonna do. Not plant related, but your skin is flawless. What products do you use? Thank you. I don't use a lot of products on my skin at all. I kind of feel like less is more in a sense. So I wash my face twice a day, like in the morning and then at night. I take off all my makeup at night. I'll wash my face. I usually shower at night, so I wash my face in the shower. I use a CeraVe. I'll put like a picture of what I use. And then I've been using that because I've been using that for like the last, I would say 2.5 years, because I used to be really more into like higher end skincare, which I still kind of am, but it just got to be too expensive. And this one has been working well for me, and my skin seems to like this one. So I use like an eye cream. I've been using the Origins brand. It's like a vitamin C line. It's in the orange and white bottles. I use like an eye cream. It's like a brightening one. I use that in the morning, and then sometimes I use a toner in the morning. I have some from The Ordinary that I'm using. It's just an all-around toner. I like the Fresh brand too, from Sephora. I have some products of that I use, but I like the Ordinary toner. That seems to work for me. And plus it's like not super expensive. But I don't use that every day, and I don't use it like, I say I'd probably use that maybe like 3-4 times a week. And I'll use, after the toner, then I don't wear SPF every day. because I'm home a lot, so I don't put it on if I'm not home. But if I'm going out, I'll put on SPF if I'm like doing something outside. Some of my like foundations and stuff that I use have like SPF in it too. I use a vitamin C serum in the morning, so it just helps with like skin, overall skin texture, and I use that from the Origins. I was using one from Drunk Elephant, but that one is gone. And then I had another one from Sunday Riley, I believe, but I used all that one. So this latest one is from, or maybe the one that I'm using is from Sunday Riley. It's like a vitamin C in a little bottle. And then I'll just use a moisturizer. And the moisturizer I'm currently using is from the Origins. It's the Brightening Cream Moisturizer. I feel like that one works well with under makeup. My skin is like oily, so it's like combo skin, I guess. So it can get dry, but in my T-zone, it's very oily. So I just make sure to moisturize. At night, sometimes I'll use, it's by Origins. It's like a little, I think, oh, what's the name of it? I'll put it on the screen. I can't think of the name of it. I'll use that before I put on a moisturizer. And then the moisturizer I'm using right now is from the Fresh Moisturizer. And that's really it. That's all that I use. It's not like, I don't use a ton of stuff. I feel like I said, less is more. A few times a week, I will do a face mask because I like doing face masks. And I have sebaceous glands. I don't get a lot of like blackheads or anything, but I do kind of have some enlarged pores and sebaceous glands. So I'll like do like one of those pore strips and remove some of that gunk out of there maybe like every week. I do like dermablation on myself. I just buy one of those razors and then just like dermablade my skin. I probably do that once a month and remove like the peach fuzz stuff, the little hairs. I like pluck my eyebrows on my own, just like under here. Face mask, I do like random ones if I get like free samples, or I did buy one recently. It's like a pink clay mask. I got it Ulta and I really like that one. I've been using that one probably like once a month. I like the is it Kate Somerville brand, like the acne brand, like the pink foaming wash. I think it has salicylic acid in it. That one's good like for breakouts. I've been meaning to get some of that face wash, but I just haven't gotten any yet. I really liked that one. Pharmacy brand, I really like a cleansing balm to like remove makeup. There's a brand from Pharmacy. It's like a cleansing balm. I really, really love that stuff. And then sometimes I just use like the face wipes to remove makeup really quick. I don't wear a ton of makeup every day. If I'm wearing like more foundation than usual, I'll like use that first and wash my face in the shower. I don't really exfoliate a whole lot anymore. I try and drink water, but I'm not always good at that. Like some days I'm really bad at drinking water. Like I really am. I don't think I've had like much water at all today, and that's bad. Let me put a little bit of pond in here. Someone else asked, I feel like people liked this one, another plant question. How do I remember the care for all my plants? I'm struggling with just 2 dozen. I feel like I want to answer this one. It can be challenging, really, really challenging, because I'm at a point in my collection where I do want to downsize because it's a lot. It's a lot to manage, and some weeks I get really behind depending on what's going on for the week. Some weeks I honestly just do the bare minimum. I just water just to get by, and that's it. Some weeks I spend more time on plant care and really like take my plants down, wipe shelves, clean, all of that. But it honestly, it does depend like on my mood and what's going on for the week, because I don't know, sometimes I struggle with mental health sometimes, and sometimes plants kind of feel like a chore to me some weeks, and I never want like plants to feel like a chore to me. So when I start to feel overwhelmed, I definitely feel like, okay, I definitely should probably downsize my collection a bit. And that's definitely a goal of mine for like next year, is I want to downsize, have a more manageable collection, and then just like focus in and really like cater and care for the plants that I do have and that I do love, because I want plants in my collection that I love caring for. trying to rinse some of that stratum off in this water. But as far as like remembering what needs to be done, I just do plant care 2 days out of the week, and I don't really do plant care on any other days. I just focus 2 days to do plant care. So that's usually 1 day over the weekend. And sometimes I don't get it all finished and I will have to take another day to like finish up per se. And then if I'm doing filming, you know, is when I save a lot of my other plant care for videos. Because I don't do a lot of plant care now off camera, because I feel like I do want to try and save a lot of it for when I am filming. But I've kind of just gotten like used to my habit and used to my routine that it's kind of like second nature now in a sense. I used to use a plant app in the beginning and that helped keep track of things, but now I'm just feel like I'm too busy for that. Like I can't take time to input information into an app and everything. And especially with the amount of plants that I have now, I feel like that would be a lot of work. Do you listen to music when you do plant chores while not filming? Sometimes. It's funny because as much as I like am a YouTuber now, I don't really watch much YouTube or anything anymore because I feel like there's only so much plant stuff I can watch and do on my own because I do it so much for work. Like I'm always editing or trying to create content and then like filming, and it just gets to be a lot. And so when I'm not doing that kind of stuff, I don't really want to spend more time doing that kind of stuff, if that makes sense. I'm just kind of having these all grouped together and I'm just going to fill up with pond. So I really take time to not focus on plant stuff when I'm not like doing plant stuff. And if I'm doing chores, I like the silence because again, I feel like with like YouTube and editing, I'm always listening to myself talk and it's always about plants. And so when I'm doing like my own plant care, I just like the silence, the quiet. I do listen to music sometimes. I started listening to some holiday music recently, but I don't know. My husband watches TV, like he's a TV watcher and he'll have like sports or whatever on, like his shows that he watches. So when he gets home from work, usually the TV's on. So when I'm like here by myself all day and it's quiet, I just prefer the quietness, if that makes sense. I don't know. Another question about the cats that I missed. Are any of my cats rescues? They're all adopted. So Luna was actually born in a pound. I know, it's so sad. Her and her mom. So they rescued them, and Luna was never even like supposed to be our cat. Someone else was like going to adopt her first, and I guess it fell through and they didn't want Luna anymore. And so they reached out to us and asked us if we still wanted her. And of course, we said yes. My husband actually found Luna and told me about Luna. And so I went to go see her, like, I think it was like the next day, because my husband was like, I guess thought she was a really cute kitten. And so I went to see her and play with her the next day and just fell in love. And when they said that she was already up for adoption, I was so sad, you guys, so sad. And then to get that phone call, I'm just like, it's meant to be. Luna was meant to be my little child, and she definitely is like attached to me. The other two we adopted the other two, but I don't really know like their full background. I think there was a third sibling that I don't know what happened with, but I don't know like where they were rescued from or anything like that. But we adopted them when they were like 6 months, and I think Luna was like 5 months when we ended up adopting her. But they're all such good kitties. I feel like they're just the sweetest. What is my dream vacation? That would be somewhere warm. Somewhere warm and I see like a beach or somewhere like that, somewhere tropical. I've been dying to go to Hawaii. Me and my husband want to go one year for like our anniversary. We would love that. Like mountains too, we love the mountains. So I feel like you get the best of both worlds with that. So that would be like a place that I've been dying to go to. How did me and my husband meet? We met in 2004. That's a long time ago. I was actually just finishing up high school. We met online actually. And back then it wasn't as common to meet people online than it is now, I feel like. Now there's like so many dating apps. And I only went on there just to see, because I grew up in Ohio and I grew up in a very small town. And I think my graduating class was only like 90 some kids. So I really wasn't into anyone like in my high school years. And I just went on there just to see. And I woke up to like an email or message from him. And we just started talking, like exchanging like messages back and forth. And then we ended up like, he's from North Carolina, and so he ended up making a trip up that way, and he met like my family, and we just kind of like kept talking after meeting for the first time, and it just kind of worked out. He ended up surprising me, and he came up to visit me again, and kind of made a decision to like move in with him after graduating high school. It was definitely a risky thing, but I feel like at that point we were already talking for like 6-7 months or so. But yeah, I would say probably not the best to do that nowadays. I feel like nowadays there's a lot of like strange people in this world, but it ended up just working out. We lived together 4 years before we got married. So I moved to North Carolina and like moved in with him, and then I ended up working like retail for about a year because I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. His sister is an RN, and she kind of talked me into like going to nursing school because, you know, she was happy with her career and said, you know, it's like a good job and all that. And so I decided to enroll and go into nursing school. I think halfway through nursing school. I didn't end up going to nursing school until 2000, maybe it was actually a couple years after, because I did work retail for some time because I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Yeah, it just kind of worked out, and we've been together ever since. So it's kind of crazy, like looking back, like we just celebrated our 15th year anniversary, wedding anniversary, which is so crazy to think that we've been like married for that long. I don't know. Time has definitely flown by. It's hard to believe it's been that long. What kind of hobbies other than like plant stuff? I do want to get back into like painting again, drawing. I used to do it and it was a fun little hobby and it was relaxing. I definitely want to get back into that. I think one year I see myself doing some Monstera art or something, you know, or some plant art. But I do sort of miss it. I really liked that. And I used to read. I'm not much of a reader anymore because I feel like my mind can't stay focused for too long on things anymore. I think I'm just like constantly thinking about stuff, and I do want to like pick up reading again. I love doing like activities outside, whether it's like walking or hiking, anything like that, I would say. But yeah, plant stuff does consume a lot of my free time because I feel like when I am not working or doing plant stuff, I feel like sometimes I always am still doing plant stuff in a way. This is a very white, white pot of Monstera Albo. Look at that. I don't know what's gonna happen with this pot of Albo. I have a feeling this is going to be a lot of browning that's going to happen. I'm going to have to start breaking out my silica and start using it to see if that helps. But this is a very white pot. But at least I feel like this will be very low maintenance than trying to keep these all in their individual pots. See, like, look how many pots I got rid of. I got rid of that one. That one, I got rid of like these, I got rid of that. And so now the only like separate vessel that I have is this one in moss, because again, I was going to sell this one until the freaking white leaf came out. And so I have my bigger one in pond that I did, my other one in soil that I did, and then I have like 2 more in soil. I still have a ton of Monstera Albo, you guys. I need to like, I want like this gone and those gone. I want them all gone. I just want to keep my Monsteras that I have and not keep these. But yeah, I can't get rid of this. Obviously, this is all white. Don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna eventually sell this one once it grows. And then I have a feeling this one's gonna do good too. So I'll eventually sell this one, I think. And then if this one grows all white, then probably just gonna chuck this one. So that is it. I got all the Monstera Albos taken care of, at least for now. Thank you for all the questions. And if I didn't get to yours this time, I apologize. I will do another one here. Probably every couple of months or so. I feel like it would be a good time to do like these Q&As while I do some like plant chores too. It's nice to like answer your guys' questions that you have, and then like rather than me talking about the plants all the time. So I appreciate it, so thank you. I have my pond pot that I did there with the other one that I repotted, and then I have the all white pond pot there with the other Monsteras I did. So they're all kind of like in this vicinity here. So I'll keep you updated on how they're doing, and like all the white ones, how they're doing. Hopefully they survive. But yeah, I feel like that's pretty good odds though. I feel like out of like the 30 plus cuttings that I did have, 6 of them is growing white, which I think 2 of them will be okay. It's just like 4 of them, I don't know, they're a little iffy. So thank you guys so much. I am truly grateful for being here and just so appreciative for you. So I just truly am so grateful, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. And Chai says hi right here. Say hi, Chai. Hi, Chai. So yeah, we will talk to you guys again very soon.